Hi, this is the lesson number 32 in this series of British literature. In the series of British literature, we are discussing the important things about the age of revival. And today in this lesson, we shall be discussing the prominent writer, that is William Tyndale. William Tyndale, his name is associated with the famous English translation of the Bible on Protestant views, and that is called as the Tyndale's Bible. And about his Protestant views, so we can simply say that he was influenced by Martin Luther and Erasmus, Desiderius Erasmus. Erasmus is the writer that we discussed a few lessons before. At that time, when there was a conflict between the Catholics and the Protestants, that time keeping a Bible was banned for the common people. One cannot have Bible, especially the unlicensed Bible. If you have the license, only then you can keep. Otherwise, there was a death penalty for keeping any copy of the Bible. At that time, Tyndale was really risking his life because he was going for some translations of the Bible. He wanted that everyone should read Bible, and one should make his own interpretations, because priests were giving their interpretations according to their preferences. But he was saying, as Martin Luther was saying, that one should use his own wisdom to analyze what is written there in the Bible. We remember Wycliffe's Bible, John Wycliffe's Bible, that was banned, and it was written in the common language, that was in vernacular, and that was banned. So that is why Tyndale was thinking that he should write something new. He should write his own translation so that the people should get to know about Bible. So he was looking to write this Bible in standard English. And one more point about William Tyndale was that he was a well-learned man. He knew several languages, almost every European language like French, Greek, Italian, Latin, Spanish, and of course English. He used to give sermons. He used to travel from place to place, and he used to travel in the night and give sermons to the people, especially about the interpretations of the Bible, that what is written in the Bible and what is wrong the Catholicism is giving, or the Catholic priest, they are misguiding the people. So he was really giving a service to the people, but at the same time he was going against the Catholic authorities. So that is why he was charged with heresy. At that time in 1535, he was hiding himself, staying at someone's house, but the owner of the house betrayed him and informed to the authorities. Then William Tyndale was arrested. The place was Antwerp. The same we discussed in the work of Thomas More's Utopia. So he was arrested in 1535, and afterwards he was charged with heresy and he was executed on king's order. So he was strangled and his dead body was burned. And that was really means burning a body was almost something insulting to the soul, some insult to a soul, someone's soul. So in Hindu tradition we have dead bodies burnt, but in Islam or in Christian religion there is no provision of burning the dead bodies. So he was executed, and before the executions his last words were, "Hey Lord," or Lord simply I should say, "Lord, please open the King of England's eyes." So he was praying to God while the time of dying. And now about his work, the famous work, that is Tyndale's Bible. Uh, about this work and about his journey, means in what sort of circumstances he wrote this work. In 1524, from London, he escaped to Germany. He was looking to save his life because he did something against the authorities. So the authorities were after his life. So he fled to Germany, and there he started to work on the English translation of the Bible. So there is a key fact to notice that John Wycliffe made the translation of Bible from Latin to English. But what Tyndale did, this is a technical point, may be asked in the question paper, that what Tyndale did, he translated Bible from the original manuscripts that exist in Greek and Hebrew language. So we know that Bible exists in the original manuscripts, that is the language Hebrew and Greek. So Tyndale used the original manuscripts and then translated into standard English. And now about his translations. First, he was around in the year 1524 and 25. At that time, he completed the translation of the New Testaments. So he translated, there is a part of the Bible, New Testaments and Old Testaments. So he translated that part and published in 1526. And he smuggled the copies of these testaments, the New Testaments, to England and Scotland and some other countries. His translation was declared heresy and banned. So it was a clear order that he should be captured and put to death and burnt. From Germany, he went to Netherlands to save his life. There he began to translate the Old Testaments. So now he is translating Old Testaments, and he translated them into English in the year 1534 and 35. So there are two versions of his Old Testaments. I repeat, about the New Testaments, it was published in 1525, and it was in Germany. And then Old Testaments, it was in Netherlands. And there are two versions of his Old Testaments which were published in the year 1534 and 1535 respectively. Another key fact, by 1539, in the 1539 year, we have already now Anglican Church, and the King Henry VIII is ruling. At that time, his translations were approved for printing. 1539. So these translations were approved. So earlier the things were not good, because at that time the rule of the Pope was going on, and after the Act of Supremacy, the King Henry VIII was the head of the church. So by that time his translations were approved for printing. And King James Bible, one more, there are several versions of Bible. So one more version is available, that is King James Bible. So there is a King James in the 17th century, in the earlier 17th century. So his Bible is published in 1611. So 1611, after Elizabeth, so he was the king. His Bible was published in 1611, and the most of his Bible, King James Bible, is based on, this is a question in UGC net, that King James Bible is mostly based on the work of Tyndale's Bible. So almost 80%, 85% you can say that Bible is based on Tyndale's Bible. Then one more point, Tyndale never published his complete Bible. So this is also a point. The complete Bible means that contains Old Testaments, and then there contains New Testaments, and there is one more part of that Bible. For the moment I do not remember. What is that? Okay, Psalms, yes. So Psalms are also there, means like songs, or like in Hindi we have shloks. So some of other things are also there. So the complete Bible was never published. So then we have one more name. The name of that person is Miles Coverdale. Miles Coverdale. So he supplemented his translations with his own to produce the first complete version of the Bibles in the year 1535. So the first complete version of the Bible was made available by Miles Coverdale. What he did, he used whatever the translations made by William Tyndale, New Testament, Old Testament, and whatever was remaining, that was supplemented that was added by Miles Coverdale. So we have Coverdale's Bible as well. So that is the first complete Bible published in the year 1535. Then we have two more works of his. The next work is Practice of the Prelates. Practice of the Prelates. This work really annoyed King Henry VIII, as William Tyndale was publicly condemning the annulment of the Catherine and Henry VIII's second marriage of Anne Boleyn. So in this, the practice of the prelates, what is the content? Here William Tyndale is condemning the two things. So the first, his divorce or annulment to the Catherine, means he divorced the king. Henry VIII divorced the Queen Catherine, and his second marriage, he was also against the second marriage of Anne Boleyn, because his first wife was already living, and he just simply disinherited his first wife and his child, the daughter Mary. So if you do not understand these points about Henry VIII, his wife, then I request you to please go back and go through that lesson that is about the political conditions of England during the age of revival, because in that lesson I have already explained about the marital issues, about his sixth wife of about Henry VIII. The next, the last work we have, that is the Obedience of a Christian Man. Obedience of a Christian Man. This work advocates that the king is the head of England, not Pope. So now in this work he is favoring the act of supremacy. So what you see that from William Tyndale's philosophy or his views, that some of the things done by the King Henry VIII are favored by William Tyndale, and some of the things or some of the actions of the King Henry VIII are criticized by William Tyndale. So now he is favoring that the King of England is the head of the church as well, Anglican church. So he is favoring. So Pope should not be. So Pope should not be above the king. This is the view of William Tyndale. He supported act of supremacy, that's clear, and it was widely read. Though this work was also banned, I do not know who banned this, because it was favoring Henry VIII, but still we can say that this work was also banned despite, it was also widely read despite being banned. In this work it was mentioned, Shakespeare. This work is mentioned by William Shakespeare himself as well. Anne Boleyn presented this book to Henry VIII, and he appreciated this work and said that every Englishman should read this work. So about banning this work still maybe sounds not that true, but because the king is promoting this work, so how maybe in the other country or maybe in the Rome or Italy or somewhere it was banned. So that's all we have. So what we have discussed about Tyndale's views, about his Protestantism views and his works. So the three works we have discussed: Tyndale's Bible, containing the two parts like Old Testaments and New Testaments, and then we have Practice of the Prelates, and then the last work, Practice of the Prelates, about criticism of Henry VIII's marriage to Anne Boleyn and his divorce with Catherine. And the last work is the Obedience of a Christian Man. So in this work he is asking every Christian man to be the obedient of the king. So he is appreciating King Henry VIII, because king is above the Pope. So these are his views. So that's it for this lesson, and I hope that I have explained the things well to you. So I would see you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching this lesson. Have a nice day.